Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Lara Trump's great show. It's a great show, 9 p.m. Saturday nights, My View on Fox News, and doing something very, very important. I saw him also with Rachel Campos, I think, last Sunday. Lara Trump, the daughter-in-law of the greatest president of all time, Donald J. Trump, and my dear friend, Lara, welcome back. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Yeah, we didn't get into the cocaine or any of that stuff with Mike. We're more on a Maha trajectory with Mike Tyson these days, and I think he will be the first to tell you that.
Yeah, no, but it's funny because, like Bobby talked last week about some of his drug issues. Mike was very public about his, as I've been public about mine, and now you get older, right? And you start to go out of your way to take care of yourself, and that includes your diet. And here's Mike Tyson, who really led a life of over everything, right? Just indulging everything. And now he's really paying attention. I can't think of a better spokesperson. And you did a great job last Saturday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and listen, Mike Tyson is almost the perfect person for this because everyone knows Mike Tyson. He has a reputation, you're right, of excess. But his message is sort of, it's never too late, right? It's never too late to do the right thing, to make your health your priority. And he certainly is doing that now. And I think the message from this administration is it doesn't matter whether we're talking about health. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about, righting so many wrongs like closing our border, fixing our economy. I heard you before I came on talking about Iran. These relationships with countries around the world who at one time people said we'll never see anything happen in the right way with any of these spaces. This president is focused on fixing them. And so to have Mike Tyson as part of all of it, very cool. And I was very excited to sit down.
Yeah, that was cool. I enjoyed watching it myself. You do a great job every weekend, but I enjoyed that. And you're right. Look, your father-in-law has done an amazing job. He stopped 8 world conflicts. He's trying hard, Ukraine, Russia. But this one has nothing to do with Trump. Nothing to do with him, okay? These people, you can't work with them. It's the bottom line, okay? I know because I go back and forth to Israel so often, and we know what they've done to Israel twice over the last couple of years. And then, of course, America stepped in with Midnight Hammer. But I just, look, I'm a very optimistic guy. There's nothing I don't think your father-in-law can do except this. I just don't think the Iranians want to compromise at all. They want their ballistic missiles. Yeah.
You're probably right on that. However, I will say that this president is giving them the opportunity to do the right thing. Now, it ultimately, I think, will come down to the people of Iran who are begging for freedom, who are in the streets protesting. We know that, this regime has been absolutely brutal to them, but he's given them this opportunity to set things right. And then if they don't choose to take that, then I think their people will be even more upset. And maybe, we'll see some big change here. I know that for almost 50 years, these people have been living under the thumb of this authoritarian, regime, this group of people who has not allowed them to have freedom. So it'll ultimately probably come down to the people of Iran to make a big change there. We'll see what happens.
I'm so disgusted and frustrated, Lara, with the Democrats. You watched, and your father-in-law talked about this yesterday. It was funny how embarrassing Gavin Newsom was, and even worse than him was AOC telling us that Venezuela was south of the equator and then having no answer. It's an easy answer. Yes, that's it. She couldn't answer Taiwan and China. Then you couple that with what Schumer and Jeffries and these animals are doing with this DHS shutdown over ICE when ICE is going to be funded for the next 3 years. I don't understand why any sane person in this country would ever vote for a Democrat. They're animals.
Well, not only that, but then they're fighting so hard against the idea of ensuring that we have election integrity. The Save America Act, right? They have been gone so far out of their way to say, we don't want to support this Jim Crow 2.0, all that nonsense, when you have 84% of Americans who agreed that you should have ID when you go vote, that you should have to prove that you are who you say you are, that you are a legal United States citizen, and that you have the status available to vote and participate and do your civic duty in the United States. It is paramount to the future of this country that we have trust in our electoral process. And the fact that they're fighting so hard against this, what is it that they're going to sell to the American people? The American people want this. They want to know that we have fair elections, that, people are not going to go out and waste their time every 2 and 4 years when they vote. But they have nothing. They have gone so hard in on everything anti-Trump that their message is anything that isn't Trump. And the problem is, what Trump is doing is working. He closed our border. We have the lowest border crossings in the history of America. He's getting violent criminals out of our country. These are illegal immigrants who have also committed crimes, murderers, rapists, pedophiles, drug dealers, gang members. He's getting them out of our communities. He's making our communities safer. He brought the National Guard into Washington, D.C., into Memphis. You go talk to the people of those cities right now, and they'll say, I finally can live my life again. I can finally let my kid go play down the street at the playground. You have the economy coming back. You have real wages going up, investment in America, trade deals that are being negotiated. So what is it the Democrats are going to run on, Sid? And that is their problem. And all they have is anti-Trump. And I hate to tell them, I don't think that that's what Americans are going to want to buy.
Oh, God, I hope not. Because you're right. That's all they've got. And, election integrity, I gave you credit last time. I'll do it again. Okay, why not? You did a great job, you and Michael Whatley, that last election, to make sure that whatever shenanigans went down in 2020, whether you think it was completely rigged or partly rigged, there was some shenanigans, okay? That didn't happen in 2024, and we won that election easily, right? So I had Scott Pressler on the show yesterday. He loves you guys. And he said, you know what I'm going to do, Sid? He goes, forget about the Democrats, okay? We know what they are. There are Republicans. There are Republicans that are anti-Save America Act, right? So he starts with Murkowski in Alaska. He goes, I'm going to Alaska. Then he gets to Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. He goes, I'm going to Kentucky. And then he gets to the most surprising of all, our Senate Majority Leader, John Thune. He goes, I'm going to South Dakota. I said, Pressler, I'm going with you. Of all of it, to me, Lara, the most frustrating are the Republicans that can't come to grips with this.
Yeah, it's totally insane. And I would love for them to come out and look the American people in the eye and tell them that they don't believe that this is important. Because, again, 84% of the country wants to see this happen. It's totally insane. And by the way, I love that you had Scott Pressler on. If I may for a moment, brag on Scott Pressler. This gentleman has single-handedly registered more Republican voters across the country than any other person. And, you talk about Michael Whatley and I at the RNC. One of the things we did at the RNC is something that for some reason was never embraced before, which is working with people like Scott. One of my first acts as co-chair was to bring Scott in to our headquarters in Washington, D.C., sit down with him, have a conversation as to how we can work together. And he said, you know what? Not only did I not have any interaction with the previous RNC, I couldn't even get a call back. Wow. This is how Donald Trump has changed things. He has put people in positions to make great moves and make great changes. Scott Pressler is one of those people. I'm so grateful for him. And I'll tell you what, if he says he's going to Maine or if he says he's going to Alaska, if he says he's going to South Dakota, he's going to go to all of these places. I guarantee you. And he's going to hold him accountable.
100%. I'm going to Kentucky with him. And he said, they don't want to see this guy. This long-haired person, that's one thing. They don't want to see this long-haired person show up in one of their cities. He's terrific. I actually had the opportunity to do some things with him in New Jersey last summer. Unfortunately, we took the loss with Jack Chittarelli, but he's terrific. Pennsylvania, of course, he works so hard there. He's got a great candidate going up against Josh Shapiro, and he's going to work hard in New York to make sure that Bruce Blakeman gets the win over Kathy Hochul. Last thing, Lara, I know you're a big-time athlete, big time, okay? And the Olympics, right off the bat, they soured it for me. They just did Hunter Hess and Amber Glenn and Michaela Schifrin. And it's sad because most of the Olympic athletes do love this country. Whether they love your father-in-law or not, they do love this country. But I can only really root for the women's hockey team who are playing for the gold and the men's hockey team. Otherwise, I'm having a very difficult time just watching these. I want to win gold, but just watching these. How about you?
Well, yeah, and the problem is, too, you have a lot of these woke reporters who can't help themselves. Can you just for a second talk about the Olympics? My God, these people work their whole lives to make it to this, the pinnacle of their sport there. Why don't you ask them about what it is that they've done to get there?
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. Here's a little piece of information for you. Because I was on Brian Kilmeade's Fox News show 2 Sundays ago after the Super Bowl when I got clobbered by Jimmy Kimmel and Jon Stewart because I had the nerve to say that Bad Bunny should have done the halftime show in English. But I was on with Brian Kilmeade and a guy named Clay Travis. And Travis said to me on air, he said, can you take a guess how many times when the last 2 Democrats were president, Joe Biden and Barack Obama, they asked the Olympic athletes?
Yep.
The answer is 0.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, because we know these questions are leading. They set these people up. And, there's a recent study out. This has to do with colleges, but that in colleges, 88% of college students feel like they have to lean left, that they have to present a certain way, whether or not they believe in it. And I would say that probably goes for a lot of these Olympic athletes. They know with those leading questions what they're, quote unquote, supposed to say, according to these liberal legacy outlets, these rags, most of them at this point, who aren't really reporting anything. They're leading with these questions and their opinions. But it's so sad because these people should be asked about their sport. They should be asked about how it feels to be there. Instead, they're asked these really disgusting questions. And yeah, sadly, Sid, I think a lot of us find ourselves in the same position you've been in, which is it's like, well, I don't know that I officially want to root for somebody who wants to dump on our country. If you are so upset with the United States of America, if you're so upset with people finally getting their feet back under them, this country being safer, our president settling wars around the world, then maybe you ought to think about doing what Rosie O'Donnell did and move to Ireland. Oh, wait, I heard she came back under the radar because she can't even stand to be out of the greatest country on earth. Take a seat, Rosie. Thank you very much.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Tap the banner to learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.